Welcome, Winged Wheel Nation. How's it going? Carley Johnston here. Welcome to the virtual Q&A with none other than Kirk Maltby himself. But before we bring him in, I wanted to toss to an awesome pump-up video to get you guys excited.
Kaiser back in front. Catcher scores! What a great play!
Down front and a backhand score. And it's Vladislav Domestic.
Rister. Redirected in front. Okay, big stop. In on the wing. Pass across. Built for the shot. And he scores!
What a beauty that was.
In the clear. Veron in. He scores!
Yes, you love to see it, especially on a game day. Welcome, Kirk Maltby. How's it going?
Hi, Carly. Good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. I know you're in San Jose right now.
Yeah, I'm in a hotel here in San Jose, and like I said to you guys, I'll say to the group, don't judge me on my curtains here. This is my hotel room. I had nothing to do with them, so. But yeah, no, I'm glad that I was able to make it with the time change and all that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to having some fun.
Absolutely. All right. The Red Wings are taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets tonight, but that's not the story. The story of tonight's game is that we're going to see Joe Veleno in his NHL debut. How exciting is that? I know it's at the end of the season, and it took him a bit to finally get cleared to play, but what do you think he'll bring to the team tonight?
Well, he's a young guy, so I think he's going to bring some energy. Joe's a very smart hockey player. Obviously, not getting to see him this year with everything that's gone on. He's was playing overseas, so it's going to be great, not just for Joe, obviously, but for the team, the organization, to be able to get Joe into the NHL to see where he's at from a development standpoint. And it's yes, it's unfortunate that we're not fighting for a playoff spot or in the playoffs, but these are still very meaningful games for our organization in the sense of seeing guys like Joe and young guys getting ice time, getting games played at the NHL level, and having an opportunity to see where they're at against NHL players. So Joe's a smart hockey player. I'm sure he's excited. I'm extremely happy for him. I'm glad that he's able to get his first NHL game under his belt here tonight. And I expect, I think, might be a little nervous. It might take him a few shifts to get used to the pace of play and the game itself at the NHL level. But like I said, he's a smart hockey player. He knows how to play in both ends. And I would expect that he's going to come out and play with some energy.
Absolutely. All right. Now I have to be able to ask you, or I want to ask you, what was your first NHL game like? What was going through your mind when you're about to step out on the ice for an NHL game?
Yeah, my first NHL game was a long, long time ago. But I was with Edmonton at the time, and it was actually the team's second game. I didn't play in the actual first game of the season. I played in the second game, which was my first NHL game. And it was against the New York Islanders, and we won the game. I was able to score a goal in that game. I didn't get to celebrate my goal. I was playing with Kelly Buchberger and Craig McTavish, and when I scored, there was a little bit of a scrum, and then a fight broke out with McTavish, and I'm not sure who he fought. So I didn't really get a chance to celebrate, but I did get the puck. We won the game, and it that was kind of the kickoff and the start to my NHL season. And actually, it's I kind of bookmarked my career with a goal in my first game and a goal in my last game of my career. So unfortunately, there wasn't a whole lot in between there, but at least I started and ended it right.
So you were just kind of standing there going like this, and there were fights breaking out on the ice after your first NHL goal.
Yeah. I came out from the corner. I made a move. Ron Hextall was the goalie there. He made the initial save. I got my own rebound and put it in. And that's when the kind of scrum broke out. So it was like a quick kind of arms up, and then I was paired off. I don't know who I was paired off. I don't remember now. But it wasn't with one of my teammates, obviously. It was with one of their guys while the fight went on. So, but at the end of the day, it was still special to not only get my first game under my belt in the NHL, but to score in it as well. And we got the win, which is ultimately the biggest and most important thing. But, yeah, it was a pretty memorable time. And like I said, regardless, talking about Joe, regardless of how the outcome is, this is going to be a game that he'll never forget for the rest of his life.
Absolutely. But when Joe's playing, everyone has to wear their helmets. I understand your first few games, maybe some guys didn't have to wear their helmets. That's how long ago it was.
Yeah, it was almost, well, during the game, you had to. Although Craig McTavish was one of the last guys to play in the league without a helmet on, and that was my first line, one of my first linemen. He was our centerman. I was on the right wing. Kelly Buckberger was on the left. So, like I said, it was a long time ago in '93. During warmups in particular, it was almost like nobody. Everyone looked at you, or I wouldn't say frowned on you, but like, go out there without your helmet, get your hair. So there was always a lot more guys in front of the mirror, gelling up, or back then too, putting the mousse in their hair. I don't even know if they have mousse anymore, but and it was like now where it's like you have to wear a helmet unless you've been grandfathered in to a certain degree, which those guys are falling aside year by year. It's just put your helmet on. You don't have to worry about your hair anymore.
Very cool. Love it. Well, as we are chit-chatting, Malt and I are old friends, so we can catch up for as long as we want tonight. But we also want to get some of your fan questions, so make sure you're typing them in the comments section. And Kirk, before we brought you in, we had that little pump-up video, and one guy we saw at the very end of the video, Jacob Vrana. He had a 4-goal game. Now, what are you seeing from him, and do you think he's fitting into this team well? I mean, I know that game definitely showed that he is, but how do you think style of play?
Well, if you definitely, no, for sure. I mean, definitely to win your team over, your fan base over, your coaches, manager, and all that fun stuff. I mean, to come into your first game on a new team and score 4 goals, you're setting the bar pretty high. But to his credit, he came in and played a great game. I wasn't at the game. Obviously, I was able to see the highlights and obviously the video parts there. But I haven't seen a ton of him over his career as he was in Washington and not kind of my territory where I go to watch games. But obviously, with video and highlights like that, he's got the skill. He's got, his skating is ridiculous. How quick he can be. He's going to create a ton of chances offensively just because of his speed. And he's obviously showed that he has some finish as well. So it doesn't look like it's going to take him or has taken him much time to fit into a new team, a new organization. And he's still a young guy. So, I was a little caught off guard with the trade. It kind of came out of nowhere. But I think when you look at what we got in return for Anthony Mantha, with Jacob being a real big piece of that, with Panic as a player, guys that are going to be in our lineup for the foreseeable future. A guy, I don't think we're expecting him to have too many 4-goal games, but it's about creating offense. And I think when you put his kind of talent and speed into the lineup with, a guy like Larks and guys like that on his line, you're going to have Joe Veleno coming in, who's a skilled guy that can get a guy like Vrana the puck. He's just going to create a ton of chances. And right now it looks like he's able to finish a lot of those. So moving forward for our team, our organization looks like we've definitely, Anthony was one of our offensive threats. So it doesn't look like we've lost anything from that standpoint and on the offensive side.
Right. It seems to be that Vrana's filling that void very well, and Panic. Now, were you a big part of that trade, being a pro scout? Were you part of that? Like, this Vrana guy, I could really fill that void if we trade for Anthony Mantha. Like, were you really in that?
No, I wasn't. Like I said, Washington, as a pro scout, there's 4 or 5 of us, I think it is, and we all have our territory, our teams that we're responsible for. And Washington is not mine; it's actually Mark Howe's, and I'm pretty sure everybody knows who Mark Howe is. So Stevie, I'm sure, consulted with him, talked to him, and that's what our job is. When Steve calls on a player on one of the teams that we're responsible for, we basically give him our opinion of that player, where we think he may or may not fit in, what we would give him from a contract if it was us doing the deal, and then it's up to Stevie to take all the information and his own information, put it together, and try to get whatever he can get, whether it's in a trade or just a contract with a free agent. But like I said, I'm sure Mark consulted with him on both players, and then just being able to get a first and a second round pick on top of that, especially where we're at, is going to be very important, and it's going to give us a chance to choose, a pretty high skilled player, or a player that's going to have a very good chance of being in the NHL in the near future. So, I can't take any credit for that at all as far as that deal. But if you're asking my opinion, I believe it was a real good deal for us, and it's working out for Washington because Mantha, I think, he's scored in at least his first 4 games. I'm not sure how he's done since. So it's working out for both teams, which is really what a trade should do.
Yeah, definitely. That was one of those trades where everyone was like, oh, wow, like we weren't expecting that. But like you said, it definitely worked out for both the teams. So we do have a fan question about scouting, actually. A great transition from Nathan. How has your job as a scout changed preparing for the draft when there is so little information available on these kids who are draft eligible? That's a great question.
Yeah, well, again, I don't do a whole lot on the amateur side. Chris Draper is running that now. This will be his second year running the amateur scouting crew and the draft. A lot of my job is watching guys at the NHL and AHL level that for trades like we just made, and or free agency that has come and gone, or will be coming up, the trade deadline, which has come and gone. So I'm already watching guys that are turning pro, or have turned pro, and guys that maybe you try and find a diamond in the rough where maybe a deep team doesn't have a lot of space and the guy hasn't really had a chance, and you get him to a team like ours where we're at right now, and maybe he gets more of an opportunity to get in the lineup on a nightly basis and show what he can do. And and I believe, like Verana, I don't know exactly, but I believe he wasn't playing near as much as he would have liked, I think. And then you see what he does in a short period here with us already, and given the ice time. So, but it is good. This is going to be a very interesting draft with the OHL not playing any games at all. The the Quebec League and the Western League, they've played a few games, so they've some of the scouts have seen them. The colleges have played, so they've seen them. But there's the OHL is one of the main leagues that a lot of guys get drafted out of on a yearly basis, and it's going to be interesting to see how that goes because there's going to be kids that they're still growing physically, mentally, and from the end of last year to now until the draft, there's a lot that could change in a player, and they weren't or not able to show that and put it on display, good, bad, or indifferent. So it's going to be really interesting. The guys, Chris Draper and our crew, like any other team, they're going to have their work cut out for them because not only with the OHL not playing, but just the travel restrictions and going across over to Europe and into Canada on any level. So it is going to be tough to make some judgment on certain players, but you do your best and you hope you hit when it's your time to pick.
Absolutely. Well, I love it. Well, we do have a pro scouting question for you that is catered to you from Anne. Which teams are you responsible for scouting? Does that involve a lot of travel for you?
Well, yeah, no, it does involve a lot of travel. That's why I'm here in San Jose. So normally, under the circumstances, I have a few different teams, but because we're not able to travel into, well, I guess we could travel into Canada, but I'm not going to take the 14 days to quarantine and not be able to go to a game for that length of time. So this year I have Minnesota, San Jose, Colorado, Chicago, Columbus, Nashville. I feel like I'm forgetting someone. And then with every NHL team that we get, you get their American League team too. So for every NHL team, you get their American League team. And with that this year, they're only playing 30 games and they're really not doing a playoff like they would normally do. So from even young guys in the American League being able to maybe that are at the end of a contract or something, looking to maybe move organizations, like it's been hard. Restrictions going to games. Some counties don't allow any scouts in their games at all. Some do very minimal 5 or 6 scouts, no fans. So I actually take my hat off and give the players at both the NHL and the AHL credit over the last 18 months or whatever it's been between the bubble and then this year with such limited fans and being able to go out there and still play at a high level. I mean, it's weird watching, but the product doesn't look like it suffered. You see guys fighting, hitting, celebrating like it's a sold out arena, and it can't be easy on a nightly basis. So it is definitely nice seeing more fans in, especially going down to LCA. You've been there. There's been more fans in the last little bit. So I can't wait until there's fans in full time and able to fill these rinks, and especially down at LCA for our games. But yeah, the players have done a great job, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's outstanding. Having fans in the stands and that home ice advantage really helps. So it's been a crazy year. It's really been tough. But we do have a question from James, another fan question. Who on the current Wings team reminds you most of filling the role that you used to play? That's a cool question.
Oh, geez. Well, I mean, I love the way Luke plays, Luke Glendening, and we're kind of in the, he's a centerman, I was a winger, but we kind of play the same way where, try to, penalty killing, physical, try and create energy for your team, draw some penalties. I might have to say I might have been a bit more of a pain in the butt to the opposing players than what Luke is, but he still does his job very well. He's a guy that comes to play every game and definitely sacrifices his body, blocking shots, taking hits, giving hits, and just talking to the coaching staff and the trainers down there. He's a leader in the dressing room as well. So he's had a not maybe your prototypical run to the NHL. Not being drafted and whatnot, but he is full marks and full credit for the career he's had up to now and will continue to have. But from a standpoint of kind of similar, where a player on our current team, I probably would say Luke. He might not want me to say that, but it is.
Oh, come on. I saw you two. You guys have a nice little friendship. What was it you guys did together? Something about, I think it was maybe Chell. You guys did like a look back on the throwback Chell. You guys had me cracking up.
Yeah, it was fun
too.
Yeah.
But he's my impact player of the game tonight for this game against Columbus. He's been playing really well. But fans, make sure you continue sending in your questions. But we do have a question about the goalies right now, which is always a fun topic to talk about. I'm interested to see your thoughts on the current goalie pipeline.
Yeah, the pipeline. Yeah. Well, it's again. I don't know a whole lot of the amateur stuff, the guys that are still in college or just getting ready to go to college or overseas. But for the guys that we have right now that are in the NHL, obviously they weren't draft picks. They were guys that we signed via free agent. But I mean, first and foremost, I don't know why anyone wants to be a goalie. In street hockey, I loved it, but to go on the ice and deal with what you have to, with how hard these guys can shoot the puck, I just don't get it. But nonetheless, you need a goalie to play these games, and I think our guys especially have done pretty well under the circumstances. They've come to the rink and played and worked extremely hard. I'm assuming, I don't know what the depth of the goalies are in the draft this year. How high, what the highest prospects are exactly. But I think, a philosophy for a lot of teams, my understanding is that you almost try to take a goalie every year. It doesn't mean you have to, especially if you maybe have someone that's, if you have a Carey Price or someone like that, a Vasilevsky that, looks like they're going to play forever and play 80-90% of the games every year. But it's a tough position. It's all tough, but goalie position is so technical and positionally you have to be so spot on, regardless if you're there's no real like a lot of the goalies play the same way now, it seems like, and and they're big. They're all huge. Like these guys are like 6'3", 6'4". I mean, if you're 6 foot 5'11", it's almost like you're too small to be a goalie, which I don't necessarily agree with. But I think it's like everything. With this year's draft and past, I don't know if we're going to take a goalie or not, but you try to draft best players available for your organization at that point in time when it's our turn to pick. And whether it's a goalie, a forward, a defenseman, you just do your best and hope that in 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it is, that their progression keeps going the right way, and that by the time they're ready to turn pro, whether it's straight to the NHL, which seems like a lot of kids are doing now, but or down to Grand Rapids and put your time in down there. But I guess I didn't really answer the question, but I think with this year's draft, there's probably a good chance we draft a goalie, and it's all about just not everyone makes it, and you just cross your fingers that you make the best pick at that particular time.
Yeah, goalie, I feel like that's a tough situation because, when I guess we can look at the team this year. We have two great goalies in Thomas Greiss and Jonathan Bernier. But a lot of the times, like we just saw the other night when Jonathan Bernier had 50 saves in the game and they came out with a lot. Like, a good goalie is so important, but you have to have a good team playing out in front of them as well. There have been so many times where Thomas Greiss played so solid, but the guys just couldn't produce for him offensively. So it's a give and take kind of thing. Talk about teamwork. I mean, that really is what it all boils down to.
Yeah, and I felt bad for Bernie the other night. I mean, to get to 50+ shots and get the loss in overtime is can be a little demoralizing for the team, but more for him. I mean, he kept us in that game. Obviously, he deserved to get a win, but he didn't. But being a goalie is like a quarterback in football. Like it's you're either the hero or you're the GOAT a lot of times, and it can be a thankless position at times, but that's just another reason. Why do you want to be a goalie? I just don't know why. Like you said, our goalies have been great, and to speak on Greiss, people might think, well, he hasn't played as well, but he has played pretty well. But like you said, he didn't get the run support that you would need. I mean, the goalies can't stop all the pucks and score goals as well. So you need the offense to produce for you a little bit too, to give yourself a chance. And as a goalie, as a player, and now in management or scouting, whatever, you just want your goalies to give your team a chance. And I think our guys have done that for the most part.
I couldn't agree more. All right, we have another fan question coming up about scouting. Everyone wants to know about your scouting days here. When doing your scouting, do you focus on specific people on the lines and change it every game, or do you just see something and make note, I think is what Professor Jaster was getting at.
Professor Jaster. Yeah, no, great question. No, it's it's a bit of a process. When you start out the year, because every organization has turnover, whether it's the NHL level or the AHL level. So whether it's because they've signed new players, they've made trades, graduating players from the minor leagues to the NHL, or guys coming straight out of amateur hockey and making the team. So there's always new players, which means I got to try and get used to seeing these players, because like I said earlier, I don't see these guys play at the junior or college ranks or over in Europe at all. So my first time seeing these guys are when they're in the NHL or the AHL, and you kind of get to know them. So you kind of take the first, I don't know, maybe a couple months or so of getting to know the rosters of both the American League and the NHL of each organization that you're responsible for. And then once the season progresses and we're getting closer to, we usually have midwinter meetings in January where we start putting our list together for trades that we might want to try and make, and also unrestricted free agents that are going to be that coming summer. And then once you kind of get into January and February, you maybe start paying more attention to those guys specifically on the list. Then once the trade deadline goes, you kind of really start focusing on the unrestricteds, because we have a bunch on our team, as every team has them, and it's a player that you can get. We always say a player you can get for free. We all know it's not for free because some of these contracts these guys sign, but which is great for them. But it's a player you can get without giving up an asset, which is always a nice thing, especially if you get a guy that can come in and play a good chunk of years and be a piece, and all you had to do is give him a contract. So that's kind of nice. So that's kind of how it progresses from the start to the finish. But at the end of the day, it's just getting to know your organization that you're responsible for at the American League and NHL level, so that when Steve calls you up and asks you about a guy because of a trade possibility or free agency, like I said, you kind of give your opinion, which is all you can do, and then he kind of at the end of the day makes the ultimate decision.
Love it. Well, you're doing a fantastic job, Kirk. I love that everyone's interested in what you're doing now, even more so than, talking about the glory days. I feel like you talk about that a lot with fans, but it's great to hear what you're doing now. I love it. I'm interested in it.
Well, I'll tell you, it is funny. You talk about the glory days. Like back in the day, the trade deadline and free agency was kind of night and day to what it is now. And a big reason for that, or really the only reason for that, is because of the salary cap. And it's hard. You can't afford to go out there and give, really bad contracts for long term. It can really handcuff you in your roster and how you construct it moving forward. So, back in the day, we would go to, we could have a game on the trade deadline, and not that you didn't think you would get traded or could get traded, but it was always kind of, you go have our little nap and wake up after the trade deadline and get ready to go to the game down to the rink, and it's like, okay, who do we trade for today, or who do we pick up, this or that. So it was always fun back then, but it's definitely changed these days because mostly, like I said, because of the salary cap.
Yeah. I mean, things are crazy. It's crazy even just this year how things have changed, but some things definitely remain the same, like the fun that we have during the games. But we do have one more question that actually my producer already read to me. It made me laugh out loud from Travis. Have you seen your former teammate Darren McCarty's stand-up shows before? If thoughts?
Well, I don't have a thought on it because I know I have not seen it. So I can honestly say I haven't seen his comedy show. I've heard he does well at it. He has a lot of fun with it, which I can see Darren. He's with his personality. He's, but I feel in my own way, I saw enough of Darren with his band experiment, Grinder, with his shirt off and yelling up on the stage. So not that I wouldn't go see his comedy show, but I haven't had the pleasure of doing it yet. But I wish him all the best with it, and I hope it sounds like he's doing well with it. So I shouldn't say I hope he does well with it. But I know Darren, and he's just he whatever he puts himself into, he has a lot of fun with it. And if he's not enjoying it, he won't be doing it. So I'm happy for him.
Absolutely. I feel like every conversation with Darren McCarty is a stand-up show. So, I'd love to. Hey, maybe when the pandemic is over, everything's back to normal, we can go catch D-Mac at one of his stand-up shows.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, for sure.
Love it. Love it. Well, Maltz, I want to thank you so much for catching up with us and doing this virtual Q&A with Wingfield Nation and myself. It has been so much fun. As always, enjoy the sunshine in San Jose and keep killing it with the Red Wings. I love watching it.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, Carly. Thanks for everyone for coming on, and like I said, don't judge me on my curtains. Thank you.
We're gonna have to call up the hotel and have them update their curtains. Well, let's go Red Wings tonight. They're playing the Columbus Blue Jackets, so we're just a couple. Just not that far away. It's 6:30 now, but again, thank you so much, and thank you, Wingfield Nation fans, for watching.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Have a great day or night.
Take care.
Bye.